And now to advance. Even though we have a great game coming up, Vanir versus MNM, we talk with a few players to understand how they want to buff a few things, how they want to nerf a few things, and those things are items. Hit it!
I would buff Mejaz, Soul Stealer, because it would create a lot more snowballing. You know, like there'll be a lot more high risk, high rewards, and I think that'd be really fun for the game. If people are buying Mejaz early and then playing to get the stacks.
Bloodthirster, I think. It used to be such a good item, and like lifesteal on 80 carries is really big. I feel like a lot of other roles has a lot of natural lifesteal and with Conqueror and Gore Drink and all that, but I think you can't really build item too much now because it's not too strong with the shield and healing and whatnot, so probably just buffing Bloodthirsters would be great.
I want him to buff Ravenous again because I really miss the active on that.
Navori Quick Blade, because I'm a Lucian player and I can't build this item, even though I think he's very interesting. But yeah, I don't think you have a spot in the game right now to really play this item, except Tryndamere.
I think Seraphs would be a really interesting buff. It doesn't seem like it's the mage item that it was kind of meant to be with the item rework. Yeah, I think like mage items in general just don't feel super great in mid lane.
Gale Force, I think. I think it was really fun to play on Graves. Even like I built it on Viego sometimes. I think it's a really fun item, and now the cooldown is like too big.
Probably Runans, because if it's broken, it's only broken for AD carries, and then I'm happy, because only range champions can buy it.
Buffs Derek's Gauge, since after the nerfs, it's a very niche item, and not a lot of champions build it.
Okay, I would buff every AP item.
I would nerf Maw because I'm a mid laner and I want to kill 80 carries and bruisers, but when they build Maw, it's a little bit more difficult. So yeah, get rid of Maw and give me Soul Stealer.
It's probably Death Stance actually more, like right now Death Stance is completely bonkers. It has to be nerfed.
Probably Death Stance. I think it's a bit overtuned and it makes people like junglers as well be able to abuse it when I think it's mostly meant for top lane. I mean Bruises in general, but yeah.
Divine Thunderer or Death Dance?
I think especially in 12-10, Death Stance seems to be extremely strong.
I would nerf Moonstorm. I think the healing on some champs makes the game really unfun and unskilled. Like the unskilled champs are like stronger, I guess, especially in the new patch.
Divine Sunderer. That item is not okay.
I would nerf Divine Sunderer against tanks. It feels completely unplayable as a tank when the enemy top laner reaches Divine Sunderer. There isn't really much counterplay at all.
Nerf every AD item and just remove Gale Force to begin with.
I love these opinions.
Do you?
But buffing Mejaz? Nah.
I have spent an entire split trying to build a library of these books. It is a good item. You want it buffed? I will support that. But if you think you want to buff it because it's weak, we're going to have an argument here.
Okay, MNM versus Vanir. MNM are coming hot after the victory versus X7 in the split, but I want to look further into Vanir to understand this team before we move forward. What can we talk about it?
So obviously both these teams had huge changes coming in, and much like actually most of this split, because we had over half of our players in the league either change or move between teams, only had a couple of players moving. Most of the players we have on the Rift are fresh faces. And looking at this Vanir roster, after actually a fairly solid spring where they had a strong identity, Noodle, one of our more aggressive tip-of-the-spear junglers, great Jinzao player and the like, having to replace that and actually come back with some decent firepower has been interesting to track from this team to see how you can kind of rebuild even with completely different pieces.
What about MNM? I mean, you got some knowledge of MNM.
Yeah, I mean, I think for MNM, it's...
Was their coach?
I was their coach, but the academy one, not the first, not the first division. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, this was always an interesting roster that gets put together here for MNM because it's you know, a bit of a rebuild around Mishigu, but they bring Kalem, Soft, and Chimera back together from the Resolve 2021 summer split. And I feel like, again, I'll voice my opinion on it. I feel like that roster was heavily gated by the abilities of the bottom lane. I think once they swapped out fast-legged and brought in FGG, who is now
True.
they looked a lot sharper. And I think this is now kind of a soft rerun of that roster where we have a very seasoned mid-jungle duo, a top lane that's very self-sufficient, and a bot lane which honestly has a lot to give us, I feel like, with Shredder coming in from the PG Nats with Soft.
Yeah, and particularly when you look at Soft and Camera, I mean, particularly coming from the UK scene as well, from our regional, because, you know, a lot of, you know, you look at team like Nariki, obviously big in the Finnish scene. Sometimes you have these, like, long-term regional powerhouses, which then make it up to the NLC level, XYZ. And it felt like Soft and Camera were always meant to be there, but they hadn't quite crested that. To see them now and actually doing well, it's actually quite satisfying coming from our own part of this NLC region.
They're doing well. Both teams are ready to go into Champion Select. That's where we're going right now to see the matchup between Vanir and MNM. Both teams need a victory, and they're fighting against each other 1-1 so far. So this is the one. And I mean, Mishigu playing 2 times with Samira. A lot of courage. He doesn't care about it.
So this is actually a bit of a point here for me, for MNM.
Okay.
I feel like one of the the weakest point of MNM so far has just flat out been their drafts. I think their drafts have been a little bit hard to navigate, is the political way that I'll put it. Obviously, they did
very diplomatic today.
Yes, they did very much manhandle X7, but again, I feel like that was a game where X7 had one lose condition, and they unfortunately played into it. And MNM capitalized heavily. I want to see something that looks a little more stable for me from MNM and a little less volatile. But if that is the playstyle they want to dig into, especially on 12-10, where it could be a little bit harder, then so be it.
Okay, so gonna borrow a Goldborg-ism. We're gonna have an overloaded draft. We're gonna have Lucian, we're gonna have Wukong, we're gonna have Viego, we're gonna have Talia. It's gonna be up
for the first
actually,
time.
if you're banning out the Kog'Maw, Talia's first time available. You're gonna have, again, that Lucian, you're gonna have that Wukong. So many power picks, and what we said right at the start of the day, and what we kind of, our own vibe of the meta was like, there are going to be huge amounts of OP picks. Question is, are we actually gonna have champions which can actually counter these OP champions and also fit into a composition that they want? Because it's all well and good saying, I'm going to pick X champion and solo kill Talia twice in lane. Does that matter when they get out of lane? Because that's going to be the real test of this meta, and for teams which want to play this style.
Now, here's the thing. An old school counter to Talia jungle used to be Olaf. Now, on this patch, Olaf is more kind of considered a top laner. It seems like they are just going to go towards the meta, pick up the Wukong. I was curious to see whether or not MNM would be willing to run something like kind of Lulu Olaf and then pick up a hyper carry on
Talia
R3.
can be played in 3 roles as well.
Yeah, Talia can also. Yeah, so it's kind of scary. You can't just say, okay, Talia's going to be jungle, Talia's going to be XYZ. They've removed you know, the ability of, hey, she's probably just going to be jungle. She can go over it now. They will see themselves and then pick up that Lulu. I think Lulu has just been a very incremental pick throughout the day, whether it's been winning or losing. It's been the backbone of why teams have either been able to survive or choke out the enemy teams. Now I'm curious to see what they will surround this Talia with Vanir, because again, still loads of picks, like you said. It's an overloaded
hovering
draft.
over a lot of stuff, which I have been hearing with because you see like the Aatrox, apparently Aatrox is quite strong right now. Yeah. We saw in one of the other ERLs, I think it was actually Adam on BS Academy that picked up the Garen. That was on 12-9, but I've actually, again, you hear about some of these picks coming around, you're like, okay, that's a hover, but what's happening with it? We're going back to a little bit more of our stand, a little bit more of known territory, known variables in that Viego, Wukong, kind of surviving from the last patch in terms of these are the junglers which are still strong.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. I can't believe it. But if Talia is going mid, Katarina could be viable versus
Genuinely
I will say, first-hand knowledge, I'm pretty sure Chimera has a mental block against Katarina, so I don't think he's going to pick it, unfortunately. What I would suspect here is that MNM probably pick up Mishigu's champion. What that would be, though, I'm not too sure, because the Kog'Maw's gone. They banned that away against themselves.
Mishigu's played a lot of different stuff, right? So we've seen stuff like the Ziggs. Is that locked in? I believe that's locked in. No, we have the Ashe, but Ashe was actually sleeper incredibly strong on the MSI split, on patch on 12-9, on 12-8, which we saw last time. That was poke Ashe when we saw Duskblade, Imperial Mandate, when you had like Ramana chucked in there. You would have W's on 3-second cooldowns and ults on like 30-second cooldowns. It was genuinely very difficult to play against. Now actually look at this 3-man unit which you've locked in from Vanir. If you lose control, because you assume this Talia is now going into mid, unless there's a very outside chance of going spot, you assume that's the Talia mid, right? If you end up winning bot side and get the darkness in your bot side of the river, get loads of pink boards, that arrow coming up from bot lane is going to absolutely ruin Taliyah. You get something which can pounce on that champion, and Taliyah still has relatively low base stats compared to other mid laners, even with the durability patch. That is an option you can go towards an MNM. The question is, what does Camera have that can actually punish a Taliyah, or at least make it feel a little unsettled?
Oh no, they banned it. I was going to say, this is actually kind of an Anivia angle for Camera, and that would have been a punish, but unfortunately Vanir banned that one away. Merbs will know firsthand. Merbs spent, of course, last split on Munster with Camera, so a little bit of history there. They are also going to remove away the Galio, so just trying to take away the utility picks. But like you say, oh, that would be spicy. It's locked. It's locked. They've locked it. And honestly, I will say, you know, you've got the Wukong diving backline, you've got the Ashe arrows coming in over the top. Swain is also now going to be buying a whole bunch of space. Diving into this MNM roster is kind of deadly. Right now, though, I feel like they half get out. I'm not too sure how it's going to operate.
Okay, there is some mental gymnastics going on in my own head right now. To think, could we get Lulu mid Swain support? Could that be something? That could actually be just be like, look, Taliyah's going to get pushed, but Lulu's going to be whatever. Lulu mid is kind of a thing of the past. We don't really see it anymore. I doubt we would. I just wanted to throw it out there. But Swain is a champion which I'd imagine if you pick a weak enough top laning champion that you can. I mean, with the Gnar, I don't know if Swain's very happy into Gnar nowadays. Probably locked into mid. Just wondering again, what flex have they got just to give him a bit more openness on this R5?
They still want to engage. It looks like Vanir really wants to engage. They have the Thresh, they have the Gnar, they have everything to go in. Do you bring another disengage to finish off for the MNM?
I think for MNM, it would do them credits to have a little bit more of engage, just so they have the option. But I think realistically, where do you find it from? If Swain's going mid, then maybe you can look for someone like Ornn. Yeah, I mean, I guess Camille just to go for the counter matchup, right? But it does kind of say to me again, MNM on this draft, they're kind of half all over the place. But again, I feel like there's a lot of functionality to it.
You say that, but the thing is, if you're going into side lanes, you have, I mean, remember Swain, actually, because now the Malphite's come in, you have a great way to engage into someone. Now, what people are going to forget about Swain, and it's going to be a big impact on this game, Swain W, when you max that second, is insanely long range. It is effectively the range of like a Galio ultimate. It gets across the map. Now, if you're all-inning with a Wukong, finding someone in the jungle with a Malphite, a lot of the time they'll do like 80% of your HP bar. If you have that Swain W for the slow, the extra bit of damage, and it's set up for, that could be a big moment to try and fish around for these picks. Ashe arrow thrown in there too. MNM, while they have a strong front to back and they have a beefy front line, they have lots of damage, they have ways to pick people off around that too. Multiple styles of play that you're going to have to track in this game.
This is kind of unfair, but I need to know, who do you think is going to take this?
Taliyah's really strong. I love the comp that MNM put together though. I think it's going to be MNM. I like the way they have multiple playstyles. We'll see how that works though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like MNM, whilst there's maybe a sort of air of, hey, they're a little bit over the place, like Nymera says.
Yeah. Chimera Nymera.
Chimera Nymera. I think, you know, the multiple play styles can definitely be of big help here, and I think they have a lot of strong answers into what's been brought to the table by Vanir.
Yeah, give me numbers.
I would say it's like a 75-25.
Okay.
Not that confident myself.
Let's see what happens inside of the game as we jump in. On one side, we have for the first time Taliyah managing those rocks, and on the other side, we have Malphite, which is a rock. So let's see who's going to win on this one. Head over to the Summer's Rift.
It's going to be a rocky road to the Nexus, some might say. There was pain. I heard pain across the studio there. As you can see, I am joined by a very sad trouble. Srubble, let's call her. There's going to be a lot of rubble because the rocks.
This was the perfect draft. You've got Lulu, you've got Wukong, Taliyah's mid lane. Chimera.
While it would have been hype.
I don't know if Katarina has haunted you. You're Anivia main. You should be destroying Katarina's mid lane. I don't know how this champion has haunted you, but I was the perfect pick here.
I mean,
it's just fact. I'm just stating facts.
No. You are correct. It's the perfect pick here, but I also think Swain is also very, very good here as well, right? Like, I think Swain is also the perfect pick here.
Yep.
Because they hit on it on the desk.
Say it. You said
the space. Yeah. How, like, you were talking to me, you're like, wow, look at that Gnar into Taliyah combo. Filthy. Yeah. You land that, the team fight is over. The question I have is, how do you land that? No. Because you got to get through the Swain, you got to get through the Wukong, you got to get through the Malphite, you got to get through the Lulu, you got to get through the Ashe. Like, if you pull that off, that is MNM getting a notification on their phone saying their pizza is on the way and they need to get out of their game. That is the only way I see that landing.
Sorry, I've got a date, gotta go.
Yeah.
All right,
My date's at the cinema.
I think Ericsson and Hesser are going to have to be extremely creative on the way they're going to work around this, right? So, for example, if we have Vanir shoving in the waves and going towards objectives, it's just very easy to cut off MNM from walking into you because, yes, you can have Malphite and Wukong dashing through the wall and getting onto you, but then Ashe, Swen, and Lulu are going to be left behind. So as long as Ericsson and Hesser can be very creative with how the wall placement is going to go down, with Hesser potentially even finding a flank over that would be really cool to see for the Wombocom and keep our eyes on that. On the other hand, I 100% agree with you. I think the space that Ashe specifically creates, I find Ashe to be one of the most annoying AD carries in this current patch. And her problem is that she's extremely diveable.
Yeah.
But welcome to the durability patch where you cannot dive anything together with a Lulu anymore.
Absolutely
so it doesn't really matter.
No, it's going to be a very hard one to handle. I think there's a lot of space to be bought. I'm curious to see what you guys are doing in your home spaces, though. So let's have a look at that one. Oh, no, we're having action. No, we're not. Don't worry. That's a...
Me and Riddle Coach are in Paris watching NLC, my favorite NLC caster.
Wait, I didn't know Riddle's coach was the Colossal Titan. What?
Yes, Hipper, that is exactly the Eiffel Tower.
Definitely the actual Eiffel Tower.
Do I lure you back into the game?
Yeah, let's talk about the game.
Let's go.
So, you were talking to me a little bit about obviously the Talia changes. The big one being, you know, Unraveled Earth now being pretty effective at stopping dashes. It doesn't work versus Kaelin, by the way, because he's unstoppable, hence the name.
It does work into soft, though, so if you're playing very careful...
Oh, monkey bop. No monkey grab.
Right, so...
Flash.
Oh, you go.
Oh, the old switcheroo with the hook. Shredder is shredded. First blood to Merbs.
Very well played. So anything with a Lulu is undiveable, but if they find you in the middle of the lane and a beautiful hook right there landing from Zaremba, then you are going to die. You are squishy enough for 1 versus 3 that happened right there. And again, if we see this again, I feel like Shredder and Mishigu are trying to shove in that wave really quickly, but then they overextend. And even though Mishigu flashes thinking that the hook is going to land onto him, really beautiful switcheroo right there from Zaremba to land it onto Shredder. And a big question that I have about MNM is the fact that week 1, day 2, they actually won versus X7, and Shredder had something like more than 90% kill participation. His Nautilus was all over the map. He was top, he was Herald, he was Baron, he was mid lane, he was finding flanks, he was finding the perfect ultimates, the perfect hooks, everything. Now Shredder has been put in a position where he's not allowed to do that. He's not necessarily allowed to roam as much as he did on Nautilus and create opportunities for his team, which is not necessarily something that they need, because you can scale and be tankier with the Wukong and Malphite. You can scale towards later stages with the Swain and the Ashe as well, so you don't necessarily need it, yes, but we've seen a bunch of passive lanes in the bot side of the map actually lose twice today. The 2 Kog'Maw lanes with the Lulus lost, being 10k gold behind, so we're seeing that if you pick more of an inactive bot lane with a Lulu and you don't actually capitalize on getting that lane rolling, getting that hypercarry in early on, you're just gonna suffer.
I would argue on the other side, though, it was like everything was on fire around those Kog'Maw lanes. To be completely fair, while the Proact inactivity, definitely is a weak spot, it was also a lot of the other lanes were losing out. The question is there going to be a punishment on these solo lanes? Because if that is the case, that might be a way around it. If Chimera is punished in lane, there is that world where potentially, you know, he isn't as, you know, effective at buying space for the team, because there's a couple of different builds you do see out of this Swain. One of them I heard is like Leandries into Stoneplate is an option where you just become completely immortal.
Or demonic.
Or demonic as well. You have like lots of ways to actually be very strong. Obviously, Jamado was talking a little bit about the Zhonya's second as well. There's a bunch of different like build paths for Swain. He's very versatile in what he can do on the map. So what he can do with his build path, and that's going to be the interesting thing here. Is Chimera has to flash away because there is no room for him with a seismic shove in the Unraveled Earth.
Really well played right there for Ericsson. Lays down the rocks, but doesn't use the knock-up until Chimera has to actually cross, which means that then he's forced to flash. Now, one of the reasons why also Taliyah is very strong in this patch, right, apart from the fact that she can stun you while you put these rocks down and you dash through them, she stuns you for the duration of your dash, is the fact that Taliyah was usually used for side lane dives. She can access any lane, shove you between your tower and the wall, because she has placed the wall that way, and then you can very easily dive. Durability patch, you don't get dived. You're much tankier, the towers do a bunch more damage as well, which means that what we saw last week, the Gnar bullying the Malphite away from lane to the point where Kerberos on that Gnar was actually invincible on the side lane. It's not necessarily going to be the case right here. You see 48 CS, 245. Hess0 has opted to go for the Cull in his inventory, so he knows he's not necessarily playing to destroy the Malphite in lane.
Oh, Mishigu. Remember, he's flashless, so he is dead, and they find the hook onto Shredder as well. Looking for the dive, he's able to jump away, but the Ignite is ticking down, and Shredder, unfortunately, his blue pot was not enough.
I'm gonna say it again. Really difficult to dive a Lulu bot lane. But when you're not under the tower, when the tower is not allowed to do damage to your opponent, very easy to get picked on. You said it yourself. They took Mishigu's flash in the earlier bot lane dive. They come back for the return. Kreox, 100% kill participation. 2 kills onto Merbs' Jinx as well. This Merbs is gonna accelerate way fast into the mid game with that Jinx. And if we see this again, you do not know. They're being cheeky right here, and Vanir is still waiting into that bush. They put the chompers really nicely so they can't cross, and also stopping him from escaping from the sides of these chompers too. Shredder did have his flash right there, but he was very slow in actually using it, meaning he ends up going down to the Ignite, giving away a free dragon over to Vanir, as well as a very close to completion Kraken on Merbs.
Yeah, that is very scary for the fact that Jinx has almost got Kraken already. 625 gold off that, to be precise. Hasn't obviously opted into the boots, so it's a little slower on that, but Mishigu boots and 2 longswords, incredibly weak comparative to his lane opponent. Now, MNM, they're going to use this opportunity, though, with all the pressure being put bot side, to try and find a way to get some gold. Vanir not going to be able to get Kreox in range of this Herald, but he's thinking about it. He's going to get slammed into. Everybody's jumping in. Soft looks to pick up the eye, and the Blast Cone's going to get used. Caleb is going to get sent packing. And now the question is where MNM going to use this? Are they going to use it bot lane to try and get Mishigu back in? He has the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but Merbs has to cleanse, so it's going to be very hard to find an opportunity to jump in onto him.
Yeah, if that was me, I would probably try to give it to Ashe in the bot side of the map, but then you sort of force the Jinx to change lane as well. But Vanir is moving towards the bot side of the map. Ericsson can very easily cut that place, that space that Mishigu is running towards, and Mishigu will have to flash yet again. But at the end of the day, it's not all about the tower dives, right? The fact that you deprive Mishigu right there off of 1, 2, 3 minutes of experience and gold, it means that this ass keeps falling a bit further and further behind. Yet another tower plating that's been cashed in by Merbs. So there's 3 tower platings that went down in the bot side of the map. To make that time investment and resource investment, the top side of the map for the refill be worth it, you need to take more than 3 tower platings with Shelly.
Yeah, I mean, there's been 3 kills and 3 tower plates bot side. It is a problem. I'd like to actually have a look at the individual gold just to see how much further ahead Merbs is. Keep in mind, we're only 10 minutes in, and he's got such a big lead over Mishigu already.
And he has Kraken at home as well.
Oh, he has a Kraken. Oh, he has a Kraken.
Mom, can we have Kraken? We have Kraken at home. I'll stop now.
He got the McDonald's.
I'll stop now.
He is incredibly strong right now.
There you go.
There it is. Got his chicken nuggies.
So, at this point, you can see how they can use Merbs to sort of move him around the map. So, the first point of attack will most likely be that bot lane. Only 2 tower platings left, 4 minutes in their disposal. You can still move down there. There is no flash onto Shredder, and Zaremba has been doing flawlessly at hitting those hooks, hitting those flays. Mid lane for Ericsson has been going peachy. He lost his flash early on, but he's been doing great. We're looking over to top side. Hess0. Yes, he's not destroying Kalen, he's not destroying the Malphite, but he has been able to get another tower plating for himself. So all in all, we have 3 5 tower platings that have gone down in favor of Vanir, and that Rift Herald is still waiting in the pockets of Soft to be exposed somewhere, to take some, hopefully, tower platings for the side of MNM as well. I don't know if they're gonna wait a little bit longer to use it closer to that Dragon timer and maybe try to get some pressure in the mid lane and then go towards the bot side of the map. But right now, MNM do not seem too keen on making any moves.
Definitely feeling the pressure down on that bottom side of the map. Soft, Herald's not got too much longer left. 2/3 of the timer has gone. So expect to see him try to make a play somewhere. Has got the monkey spin available to him. So might just try and throw that down, but it's going to be so hard with Ericsson kind of buying that space with the Unraveled Earth.
And Vanir are playing so well around their most fed member, which is that Jinx on the bot side of the map. They're moving towards the bot side of the map. They know that in 50 seconds, there's going to be that Dragon. They want to start stacking them. They want to bring MNM into them. You mentioned how much space MNM can create, but if Vanir never have to put their finger on the trigger and actually engage them and get objectives for free and reach that soul for free as well, you never have to fight MNM. You just have to choke them down under their own towers like they've been doing so far at the bot side of the map and just get things for free. That's yet another.
Oh, you interrupted him! Kill him! Solo kill! What?
Okay. That's the power of Malphite. He's playing with the Comet right there as well. He bonked the Minina away. Not a lot of defenses onto a Minina. He's extremely squishy. But still, that solo kill doesn't really result in anything massive from the side of MNM, apart from the fact that Hezero is going to lose a little bit of CS and gold from all these minions that have crashed underneath his tower. Kalim, though, doesn't have his TP available to join this fight. So all in all, yes, they lose a kill onto the Nut, but they've secured the second Dragon. Ericsson and the rest of Vanir can move on to the mid lane.
Oh, that
they
wall.
stop the Herald
that
as
wall
well.
Is so tragic for them. Hook's gonna come out. Soft jumps in. It's time for Beyblade, baby! Knocking up a couple of members as the arrow goes wide. Sure, they get a few plays, and Chimera gonna pop himself the demonic ascent for the moment. Not able to find himself a grab, and yeah, they get 3 plays, but that is it. Meanwhile, Jinx is just melting through towers. MNM are crumbling with an amazing draft. Just unfortunate play in the bot lane has really, really hit them.
I just love the proactivity, honestly, coming from Vanir, seeing an entire new roster from spring to summer, seeing them play so well coordinated together. They're using from the side of MNM, the Herald mid, they don't care. Ericsson pops down the wall. Shelly has to make an entire beeline around the wall to try and get to the tower. By the time they do, Soft has to actually engage onto Kreox to make sure that Shelly does bop onto that tower. Soft loses his flash, which means that long-range engage is no longer going to be available until he has his flash there. And Merps, unbothered.
Yeah,
shining on that bottom of the map, taking an entire tower pre-14.
But look at the items. Divine Thunder has been picked up for Hezero. You got Divine Thunder for Kreox as well. That's the type of shoe, but it doesn't matter. We've also got the Kraken Slayer onto Merbs along with that last Whisper. Look at Mishigu. It's attack speed boots, a pickaxe, and 2 longswords.
That looks like a Yasuo that's gone 0-4 in lane, by the way.
Oh, it's so painful. Just a lot of attention, and honestly...
Kalim, by the way.
Zambera playing really, really well to set up that lane as a... Kalim?
Kalim is just alcove gaming right now. He's trying to... Okay, this is a little bit miscoordinated because, yes, he's trying to catch people off guard, but who's he catching them off guard for? Because Soft is super far away, doesn't have his ultimate available, just came up. He's got only a Lulu around, and now they are looking for that Rift Herald fight. But honestly, if you overcommit for that one, it could be really bad for Vanir.
But Zambera going to get hit up for the moment. The Demonic Ascent comes out into the grab back as Chimera may just feel the flash forward, catches him out. The Hand of Palpatine comes out as well. And pop goes the Weasel. Stopwatch going to get used. And this should be the end with the Eye of the Emperor coming in. But Merbs is untouched. They're able to do the damage. They find themselves a double kill for the Monkey. The Monkey spin's going down, but everybody's super low. Merbs is resetting. Double kill. Make it a triple kill. Merbs untouched, uncontested, and absolutely wipes MNM.
Unbothered and absolutely thriving. 5-0-2. Merbs has been the recipient of all that gold, and it's coming into fruition. You see Zaremba right there gets caught by Chimera's Swain, and then the Chompers will go down to create space, and then he hooks the Swain closure. I'm like, I'm not sure you want that, buddy, but he actually did. He baited everyone from MNM into a huge choke point. Guess what? Jinx loves that. Guess what? Talia loves that. Guess what? Kreox onto that. Viego loves that for all of the resets. Hesir as well with the Meganar going in, throwing the boomerangs. And again, I will just say that Viegos fall big victims to picking up Lulu souls.
Yeah.
Because they're actually like super squishy once they do, and they end up going down, like they will shield themselves and then they're dead. We saw it from MC, we've seen it from Kreox right here. Like, don't get baited by the Lulu souls. Just don't do it.
Oh man. Vanir. A lot of us were favoring MNM coming into this. We thought this draft was so good, but Vanir just had a read on what they needed to do to counter MNM, and they just shut bot lane down entirely. These Lulu lanes, we thought they weren't diveable. Doesn't matter, you just catch them before they get to their tower.
Exactly.
And this is the kill lane we expected out of XL last time into the Lulu. This time, it actually came into fruition and has worked just wonders for them. Mishigu now has got the Kraken Slayer finished up onto the Ashe. And obviously, the great thing about Ashe is, as long as they're post 6, they still can always R. They can still always long range engage. The problem is do you go on Ericsson? No, he's got the cleanse. Do you go on Merps? No, he's got the cleanse. So who are you actually ulting? The front line? Maybe.
So, we talked about the first Rift Herald as well. That pretty much was a waste when it comes to it being worth the time investment for MNM. But this one opens up mid lane. Where are you gonna put Ashe to farm? The only lane that has a tower is all the way to the top side of the map. And you don't necessarily want to have Ashe isolated all the way there, but that might just be your only option right now. You need to keep Ashe ammo where you know she's going to be extremely safe. In the mid lane, maybe with Lulu, you cannot overextend, which means you lose a lot of that attention that you had in the river. You lose a lot of that vision. The only silver lining for MNM is that the soul is going to be a cloud soul, which not necessarily a lot of teams cared too much for.
I would argue in this is actually quite nice, because we were talking about the zone control, being able to reposition fast. The Cloud Soul can be somewhat useful in that sense. Sure, it's not a Hextech. I think Hextech is probably the ideal one for them here, because it allows them to kind of keep people at arm's reach and then go on the fight when they want to. Looks like MNM are going to be able to finally cash in on their first tower, and the tower shutdown gold will do a little bit of wonders for them. But that money is going to Kalem and going to Soft. You'd rather it go into Chimera or Mishigu, who are just currently stuck under tier 2 towers, catching waves and just trying to find a way to be relevant. There is a point, though, where Chimera should become very, very oppressive and hard to play.
Still, I'm just really worried, because I'm looking at the MNM roster and I'm like, who's supposed to do massive damage here? Sure, the Wukong does relatively okay damage. Sure, Swain does relatively okay damage. Sure, Ashe does relatively okay damage, but I've used the word relatively for all three of them.
Yeah.
None of them gives me hyper carry material, like a Jinx, like a Victor.
Yeah, it's definitely not hyper carry. What it is it's sustain and survive and just chip away slowly. And, you know, there isn't that much recovery for the side of Vanir, so in an extended fight, I do think MNM are probably quite okay, but then it's also extended fight versus Jinx.
Yeah,
also not particularly nice. So it's like, either way you look at it, like, who actually wins out in these long fights? I think it just comes down on if these teams are equal in gold and items, it comes down to how well they play it, because you have the ability to buy space with MNM, but if Jinx just gets set up and gets resets, it's over.
Yeah. Exactly. I 100% agree with you. And the fact that Vanir have been playing the side lanes so well, look at this. They're picking onto Kalem. Kalem has to use his ultimate. He's no longer a threat to the Jinx. You know what? The Jinx can actually push forward right now. Once they spot where the Wukong is, you use Merbs onto the Jinx, you take yet another tower, or you move further into the jungle. So I think that Vanir have been playing very cleverly around a lot of the cooldowns and a lot of the summoner spells that MNM do or do not have. And right now, taking Kalem's ultimates, yes, it's a very short cooldown. He almost has it back up. Almost half of it is already done, but now at least you know that for this time of duration, you can actually pressure top side, and the only thing you care about is seeing where the Wukong is. Once you've spotted them, you can move back.
This is a very important game for both of these teams, because they are currently 1-1 each. So on the standings, this can kind of slingshot you forward a little bit going into Wednesday, and potentially give you a better week 2 and a better standing going into the later weeks. So it's a very important game for both of these teams. Now, the one good thing for MNM is they did beat X7, so they don't have like scary X7 to potentially come up. I know X7 didn't have a particularly great week 1, but that has played into their favor somewhat.
Now they're ramping up, so you definitely want to have that X7 game out of the way.
You missed them.
You missed your window.
Before they got there, but yeah, that was definitely a good window for MNM to find a win there. But does raise a couple of questions that, you know, they do look a little bit scared right now. They do still have a good team to work around, but it's a matter of them actually hitting, you know, the power spikes, hitting the opportunities. Because at the moment, the biggest problem that MNM have is they don't really have any vision. Like, they're slowly trying to reclaim some of this red side jungle and some area around this Baron. Because obviously the Baron is a very scary thing. You got the Jinx. She can shred through that Baron. She's 5-0-2. Like, Jinx will absolutely end Baron.
I think a little bit of the head scratcher is some sort of like difference in the stylistic that they've drafted here, because like Malphite Wukong talks to me about diving really deep into the enemy backline, finding that Jinx, finding that Taliyah, who are both immobile, fair enough, but you also have a Thresh there and you have a Gnar, and they can defend that, whilst the rest of your team, what they want to do is create space and peel back versus a team that doesn't necessarily want to engage into you. If Zaremba lands a hook, then Taliyah can chain that with a knockback, and then you blow someone up, and suddenly it's a 4 versus 5. So I feel like the draft is not necessarily favoring them too much, and even though I felt like Wukong maybe should have done a little bit more in the early game to try and get a lane ahead, but the fact that Chimera was losing mid lane, Mishigu and Shredder were dying all the time towards the bot side of the map, Caleb is playing Malphite. I think Soph had no options.
Yeah, completely right there. Well, it looks like Soph is in the wings with Shredder right now, seeing if they can potentially spot out to Ericsson. This does leave Mishigu alone in that mid wave, but Mishigu pretty comfortable right now just to keep farming up. And, you know, the more time we tick by for MNM, the happier they are just because of how big the gold lead is. Sure, you don't want the time to tick by versus a Jinx, but when you're already 7,000 gold down, you'd rather just chill, hope that your Ashe can get some items under her belt, and then hope that maybe this Swain becomes tanky enough, because it does look like with that Warden's Mail in the inventory, this is going to be a Frozen Heart build, yeah.
It already appears in Kalem's inventory, so I'm wondering maybe this is maybe a Randuin's would be a better choice right now, but Soph has been caught, has to dash out, has to get out of dodge really quickly, which means that the soul is going to go towards Vanir. And I will agree with you, it's not one of the strongest souls that we can have in the game. We talked about this earlier, but being able to space yourself out, moving faster for Zaremba as well to try and land these hooks, try and land these flays, might be the game changer that they actually need right here. What I'm really worried is that MNM don't necessarily have a really easy way to face check unless they have Calem around onto the Malphite. They cannot necessarily walk into the jungle when it's blind.
But right crucially, now, it also gives us a very early Elder.
Absolutely.
That's the big thing, because you've already got a very fed Jinx. Like, MNM have already shown me they just don't want to fight. They don't want to. They want to wait this game out as much as possible. Elder is on the map in 6 minutes. Are MNM going to get significantly stronger in 6 minutes' time? I would argue probably not in the current state of things. So, Vanir should realistically be able to pick up this Elder.
First things first, Baron is still in the game.
Yeah.
And at this point, Vanir have all the control that they want around the Baron, meaning that you have your own jungle warded, and then you have Ericsson's wall onto the Taliyah. You can cut out members of MNM.
Murbs. Instantly goes in for the cleanse. Lantern comes out.
Ooh.
Calem did flash there, as actually they do find a good hook on to Calem.
That's not the hook you want.
Probably don't really want Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but he might see if he can turn it around. Nope, able to waddle away.
But that was Calem's flash right there. That was actually expended, so you will see it coming. If you see the unstoppable force, it's going to be very easy to dodge. It's going to be very easy for Mevs to actually flash away from it and survive for himself. So flash down on Calem is huge. That means Vanir can actually walk inside that top quadrant of Soph's jungle and try to ward it. Ericsson still has his wall. Will have his wall very quickly.
Yep.
And Hess Zero is mini now for now.
Mishigu does have that Ash Arrow up soon, though. Merb's a while away from that cleanse. So if Calem hadn't flashed, that would have been a very worth play, because at that point you can kill Merbs. And Merbs is worth 1,000 gold. Merbs is not a small shutdown at all. And he's overextending, and look at Michigu's timer. Like, you have the Lantern, but you can't click it if you get hit by that Ashe. So
but now it's MNM's chance. It's MNM's chance. You do have the hyper carry in the likes of Ashe. You have the boosters right there coming in from the Lulu that can actually bait Vanir into face checking this, but all they want to do is just go in, clean the vision. They have been spotted from the Scuttle Crab as well, and this is like this is starting to become a very slow-paced game, and where I was looking at Merbs, I'm like, he's got the stopwatch, he's got the BF sword, and maybe a Guardian Angel wouldn't be the worst choice right here, since he still has the stopwatch available in his pocket. I'd much rather that he went straight into the Infinity Edge. This is going to shred through even the Malphite with the Frozen Heart. He's able to still flash away or stopwatch the Unstoppable Force or the dashing in from Soft. So, again, Vanir are using the numbers advantage. They are using their items advantage to take control, to take vision of the top side of the map. This is also a very back and forth game because yes, there is some hard engage in the likes of maybe Meganar can find the flank, but mostly from the side of Vanir, it's about picks. It's about landing the hook. It's about destroying someone, whilst MNM have to play very cleverly because the top side of the map wants to do something different and dive deep, whilst the bottom side of the map wants to kite and peel backwards.
Now, MNM can always check this Baron Pit. They've got the Blue Ward and Mishigu. They've got obviously the Hawk Shot as well. And they've got Swain. They've got lots of tools to be able to get close enough to it. They've got that Ash Arrow. Merbs almost got that cleanse back though. So either Vanir's mid tower needs to fall here while they're using that as an opportunity, or they need to find a pick and a fight, because otherwise this is just a bit of a waste of Kalim's flash and obviously that potential pick earlier. So MNM, they're okay with the way it's gone, but we do need to see something from them because this is very, very passive.
You know what? I think you were right when you said, you know what? In 6 minutes' time, we have Elder Dragon coming up. I think this is going to be the fight. I'm like, surely not. Like, Baron is still up and available. There's no way they're going to wait until Elder is up. I think we might just have a fight for Elder. I think this might just be it, because in 2 minutes it's coming up. Vanir and MNM are unwilling to commit to the Dragon because they know the costs from both sides. They can both end up going down. The game is still pretty close, even though it's 7,000 gold in the lead for Vanir. MNM can still change this around.
Yeah, it's weird because I'd say it's not close, but MNM are playing it in a way that means that, you know, Vanir do play in that back of the mind and going, well, we could actually still lose a fight.
Yeah.
There is that world where, you know, the Ashe just slows us all down. The CC, obviously the Swain, making lots of space, and they're respecting towards that. They do still have Soul. They do still have that 7,000 gold lead. Vanir are definitely very far ahead right now, but they are playing respectfully for MNM, hence why this game feels like the brakes have kind of been put on since that Soul was taken.
And again, we're playing this sort of back and forth game, right? Where you're pushing in that mid wave, you're setting down the vision, then Malphite walks in together with Wukong and they take the vision back. But 1 minute remaining until that Elder is up. Chimera is shoving in that wave. Somebody has to reply from the side of Vanir, but because they know, again, that they have the numbers advantage in the mid lane, they're going to shove in that tower. Hesir has been building up that bot lane wave as well. So again, yes, I understand it's a very slow game, but again, when you play it into Lulu, Swain, and Ashe, it is going to be a very slow approaching game, and Vanir so far have been playing flawlessly and around numbers advantage, summoners advantage, ultimate advantage.
Seeing actually the Crystal Scepter second for Chimera. Did just pick up that Warden's Mail for a bit of armor to deal with Merbs. We'll probably translate that into an item a little later. But the Crystal Scepter obviously able to buy quite a lot of space.
Slow as well.
Yes, it's very much that zone control comp from MNM. It's, are they going to be able to use it? Are they going to be able to actually effectively make it work for them? Chimera is pretty strong right now. He's level 15. Would ideally like to be level 16, but Elder Dragon spawning up. MNM actually have a pretty good track, and that's a hook on for the moment.
Threshold.
Yeah, the box does go down. That's actually pretty big.
That is one of your zone controls completely gone from the game. The Elder Dragon has been started from MNM as well. Ashe is going to join from the side. Hesir is just about to drop off of Meganar into Mini. I think right here,
what a wall.
MNM.
Oh, that wall might actually just have done it. Volley's going to go down to slow. MNM can now move in. Chimera gets caught out by the seismic shove and loses a lot of HP.
These are the tools. These are Vanir's tools to actually zone them away.
Soft. He's on a pink ward. No one spotted him out. Chimera still got that flash, still got that ghost. He's looking to jump in. Soft, gonna jump in. Throws out the Beyblade. Instantly caught out. This fight is breaking out already. They've got themselves 1 kill already. It's gonna be onto Kalim. He's missed that ultimate. Kreox able to take down the carry. And Vanir are just walking through MNM. The marshmallows are toasted. And it is an absolute slaughter. Complete failure of a fight from MNM.
Merbs, you are such a freaking beast! His reflexes on that flash from Soft diving in from complete darkness were insane. 7-0
0-4. Undying in this game where everything wants to jump on him.
It looked like MNM just lost bot get lane and then just lost hope that game. It was just catastrophic for them.
You know what?
Vanir played that very, very well. We had our expectations off the back of, yeah, I know. We had our expectations. We thought MNM had drafted a very good comp that could buy space, but they just never got to play it. They just fell way too far behind. And then Merbs, like you said, really, really good play. Every time they thought they caught Merbs, they didn't. And MNM just, they ran out, they missed Merbs and went, oh, what do we do?
I just need to give props to Kreox and the bot lane because they snowballed them out of control. We mentioned how a Lulu lane is completely undivable if you're under a tower. They kept cutting Shredder and Mishigu further away from the tower. That means they ended up in a 2 versus 3 situation. No tower damage that has been buffed this patch. Therefore, Kreox and the bot lane came out ahead, and Merbs, his position, his itemization, the way he was playing around the fights was stellar.
You know, Jamada was wrong. What can I say? Over to you.
I mean, like, that's even hard. I mean, it's Jamada. Welcome to the desk back, everyone, and
At least I think.
Hold on.
The pre-show.
Hold on.
We kept this compartmentalized.
I think most comps are gonna kind of stink if you give Jinx a 2,500 gold lead really early. In all fairness, but yeah, I'll take it on the chin. Yeah, Vanir. I think in particular, early game, Zaremba, Thresh hooks. Absolutely spectacular.
Godlike.
I think for me, I look at this this MNM draft and I feel like, in my opinion, if Jinx isn't, you know, super duper far ahead like what we just saw, or even to a degree, even I think Talia as well, that's really hard to play for Vanir in the later stages. I think that the front line would have been too tanky, there would have been too much disruption going on in the backline carries, and I think for Vanir, at most ERO level games, I think a draft like MNM's is a little bit too disruptive to actually play against.
And that's the thing, right? It's about that disruption. It's also about, you know, we did, well, I mean, I mainly highlighted like, oh, Swain W, Ashel, pretty good at, you know, picking people off in positions where they should feel safe. And it did.
Never used.
And it never really happened. There were a couple of Ashels, there was a couple that missed in the mid lane. It felt like they weren't very proactive about it, and it felt like they weren't very precise with it.
Exactly. And
that's something they need to really fix if they want to play that style of comp, because that's a hallmark of it. You need to do that to unlock all of its potential.
Yeah, and I feel like you've got it on the nose. They had to be as proactive as they could have possibly have been, and I feel like there was too much dead time, and I think that could have just simply been a mentality thing. MNM wanted to very clearly stall the game out so they felt like it was kind of playable because Merbs got so fed. But that was just flashbacks to me for, and Archer, you'll know because you covered Div 2 with me, that felt like a by the books monster game from Div 2, where Merbs will just get all of the resources, all of the time from the rest of the team. He'd get super fed on something like a Jinx or a Zarya if it was last split, a Felios even, and he'll just take over the game. And it felt like in core moments for MNM here when they tried to take skirmishes, Vanir, A, responded very well, and B, the targeting was never on Merbs, and that was just such a big problem.
And it seemed like every single time that they tried to do it, it went wrong, but hit me, Dimera.
And obviously this is after already Merbs has been the beneficiary of a couple of bot lane ganks. I think that Zaremba had insane performance, and though, you know, you can see the Thresh going down in this fight, I mean, you need to be able to set up these fights so you're not straight front to backing with the Jinx in this sort of situation. This is absolute ideal situation for a Jinx. Jinx cannot be allowed to do this. We've had a year of this champion now, like a solid year. You know exactly what this champion does in this situation. If you're funneling to that point, you know that's already a done deal. You can't be taking this kind of fights. That's fighting with the blinkers on and thinking, look, we've got to pick with the Swain. Swain's got phase rush active. Sure, we've got this power spike. That's thinking about your champions in isolation, not thinking about how the enemy champions factor into that equation.
It went perfect for Vanir, and we're going to talk with the jungler Kreox, who played with Viego that is waiting for us. There you go. So amazing, stellar victory for Vanir. And you specifically, you woke up and chose violence, didn't you? Okay, I cannot hear you. You were vocal inside of the game, but I think you're muted right now.
Oh, no.
Because there was a fast interview, as fast as he went to the bot side and delivered all that lead for the Jinx. I had so many questions for him. But unfortunately, I don't think we can get him right now. Yeah. But it seemed like the team was cohesive. They wanted, they got in, and they completely showed up.
Yeah, no, they were very proactive, and it's kind of what I expected from Kreox anyway, coming into the NLC. I had the brief privilege of being able to cover the LCL for a couple of weeks, and with that came its fair share of prep. And him alongside Diamond Prox from the LCL, just by far and away the two most consistently aggressive junglers. And showing it here in this game, he kind of just recognized, okay, we have a bot lane that's very easy to abuse because we've got the setup from the Thresh, and it's something we like. It's kind of 50-50 with teams. Sometimes you see Thresh lanes where like Thresh actually has his full kit kind of utilized by the rest of the team, and then other games it's not. And this is one of those games where thankfully it was the former, and Zaremba was able to pull off a very strong performance. But Kreox on the Viego was very clearly, it seemed, had an idea of what he wanted to do from the early game, and even in the sort of mid stages, very much recognized.
I had to get you off, but I think we got him again online. You chose violence?
Yes, hello guys.
There you go, I got you. Okay, cool. He rises from the bot lane. Okay, you invested a lot of time and a lot of economy as well on the bot side, and it paid off, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, our ganks works pretty well. I was surprised that they didn't really cover it, you know, like with Wukong, with the waves management, and I think they did a lot of mistakes, and maybe we could snowball more with Taliyah ultimate, but I think it was fine.
And looking into Taliyah, it doesn't seem like you guys at Scrims or any team at all has been able to play with her because everybody may ban away the Taliyah. And you finally got a hold of Taliyah. Was the team ready to play with the Taliyah?
I actually was surprised that they didn't ban it because, yeah, everyone is just perma-banning Taliyah. Some teams just asking to play at least one game, you know, on the blue side. So, yeah, we was ready to play it. We played some games, and, yeah, I mean, this champion is just turbo broken. That's all I can say.
Can you tell me, are you looking to go into the community of speed runs, looking into the Dragons? Like the timers you did with the Dragons, they were so fast. You got the soul at 24 minutes in. No, 22 minutes in. Was it because the bot lane was unprotected? Was this your plan all along to go for the soul as fast as possible and leave Soft in the dust?
I think actually first Drake was my idea because team didn't want to take it. We want to play more tempo, you know, just base after bot gank and go for camps and go get as much gold as we can. But I decided to go Drake because I think like game will be slow, especially we don't really play mid game that good. You know, like the cleanest mid game you could see like this choke Baron stars or something. But yeah, I mean we just like wanted to play Soul. Soul was not the greatest, but yeah.
So that's actually a really interesting part of a larger topic in terms of new patches come in, and you can see stuff like a lot of Enchanter supports coming into the meta. As a jungler, you need to play very differently around that. What fundamentals do you think that your team is going to be working on next, actually, in regards to that? Because you said you were talking about, oh, maybe you shouldn't go for that first dragon, you decided to go for it. What else are you learning on the new patch, and what's changing in this meta?
I believe that it's more now. It will be like more the like team fight oriented drafts because for fights is really slow and teams just building like tanks and like really hard tanky bruisers in the jungle. But I still think that some tanky suppers like Nautilus, Leona can be like good in some case of drafting. But yeah, just like team fights is just way too slow. People not one-shotting another people that fast. You know, like how it was before in previous patch. And I mean, I like the new patch. I only don't really like the one thing that Lee Sin got a lot of weaker, you know, that previous patch, because tempo junglers or like tanky junglers are just way stronger, and he could be like not really good right now in the meta.
Okay, let's see what happens from the future and to see how you guys fared up in the new patch. Thank you so much for this interview. I got you on the second one, Kreox, so thank you so much for being with us, and good luck on the remaining games.
Thank you, guys. Good luck.
There you go. It's really good to get the input of the players, how they're feeling and how they look. Oh, man, I really wish Lee Sin was back in the meta, but he's no longer there. And we're still adapting. This is the only, like, the first day of the new patch.
Well, we don't even have tape from other regions to look at. We are the first game, as far as I'm aware.
Who cares about the other regions?
but even that, it is a strength of particularly when you're looking towards your analysts and your coaches, and of course a lot of the players who are more open-minded and actually have more of a input into the meta and the drafts as well. It is useful to learn from other people's perspectives. You can scrim people, but that's off stage. That's not the same as being on stage when actually it's like, you need results now, this is what you draft. Sometimes you can, I'm sure you'll know in your own drafts when you were doing them in scrims or whatever, you can just try some extra stuff. Like they were saying, oh, give them Taliyah blue side one game, we'll just see what happens with it, asking for it. We don't really have that learning yet, and we're going to have to catch up as the split goes on.
Yeah, no, and
Maybe
again,
they'll learn from us.
Yeah, maybe they'll learn from us. Maybe, who knows? And yeah, like we've kind of alluded to as well, the time frame of which the patches have dropped. So teams still learning throughout the course of probably today. Like, I'm sure that this will be one of the few days where often you'll hear players say, "Yeah, no, I didn't watch the other games. Like, I don't really care about them." This is probably one of the few days where this is probably one of the few days where players will, even if they've played their game already, will just come back and watch the broadcast because they want to see what other teams are actually playing. Because realistically, 3-4 scrim blocks is not enough to get to grips with a patch this size.
Everybody's still learning what is happening on this new patch. Specifically, AD carries like Mishigu at MNM. I got you on the interview. It has been far too long. You lied to me the last interview. You were going to be gone. And you're only remaining member of MNM. Good to see you again, mate.
Well, we kind of griefed. Especially in bot lane, right? We kind of knew that they would gank us level 3 from like watching the previous games and sit, and we still died to it, right? So that kind of sucks.
Talk to me about the Ashe pick. Why you go 2 games in a row for the Samira, like the ballsy move, I want to get in on a team fight, and then you pick the Ashe.
It's not my fault. I don't know why it released this stupid patch, right? And now it's a completely different meta change. I really liked playing like really aggressive stuff, and it's not as good anymore, right? So that kind of sucks. We're still getting used to the patch, of course. This is the first day of seeing other people play with the patch, so it's still a long time to go and to see what will be strong and stuff.
And you jump into a game with, I mean, not a usable pick. Like, I mean, you bring the Ashe. Nobody picked the Ashe today, so it was something more for you. And you get so focused on the bot side. What was your plan moving forward into the game? Because you needed to be out of attacking because you brought in Lethal Tempo. You can't even go for the lethality. What was your plan moving into this game as soon as you got camped and camped and camped?
I mean, generally, right, we kind of just want to front to back, and then I can hit anyways. I mean, it's also very hard for Jinx to play versus Malphite and Wukong when they dive backline. But yeah, we struggled a bit and just didn't play good in general. I think our comp is kind of easy to execute if we don't give Jinx 3 kills and 5 plates, you know. But yeah, she kind of got way too accelerated, way too fast, and
yeah, regardless of the comp, if Jinx gets that, I think it's hard to play against. And tell me something, we were talking about this in the green room. It seemed like the team, once you realized it was Cloud Drake, you guys said, nah, take it. Take it, we're going for the Elder. Was that the plan?
Yeah, and Cloud Drake is so useless, especially on their champs, right? So it's better to try to scale, but yeah.
Moving forward, looking through the rest of the split and looking into this new meta, how are you feeling your chances are with MNM? Because you guys kicked X7. It's not you defeated X7. You kicked X7 on the ground. You humiliated them on the previous patch. But looking into this one, how are you feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good, right? Because we started playing on 12.9, and we got really good at 12.9, right? And then we beat X7 on it, and now it's a new patch, so we just have to work hard and learn the new patch as well, right?
Okay. Okay,
So
I'm
as long
expecting
as
the
we
next
work
interview to have that smile back on your face, because every single time you lose, your face goes the other way. So I want to see that smile back again, Mishigu. There you go, that one.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you so much for the interview. It's always a
thank you,
pleasure
man.
to talk with you, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, same. Yeah, have a good one, bro.
Always. Kind of like Mishigu.
We can tell.
He's very cool, yeah.
He's really frontal about his opinions. I like that in the player.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And there is a level of awareness to go, yeah, we kind of griefed.
We kind of griefed. Oopsie. I mean, when you see the Jinx taking 5 plates, 3 kills, what do? I mean, she's in Arcane. I mean...
disconnect, try from block.
I also would like to say thank you, Mishigu, for admitting that you gave over the Cloud Soul and tried to play for the Elder, because for over a year now, I've been trying to advocate for this. If you're behind and you're playing against Cloud Soul and there is absolutely no reason to contest it, let it go.
Yeah.
Play for Elder if it allows for you to scale into a game like this where you actually have a chance to play the game.
He wants to parlay
No. This is actually not a disagreement. This is actually a furthering of that point. I think that's completely true. I think there is currently, and maybe this is a bit of a over-waffly statement, I think there is an over exposure of players who just play their comfort champions, they play their comfort comps, but don't actually understand the breakpoints of these things too well. It's like, how do you win a game? How do you lose a game? And actually realizing you don't always lose a game by giving over certain souls. Giving over a Hextech or Infernal tends to be pretty bad. Stuff like Ocean, even in the game with the Cogmore, the second game with the Cogmore, with the Riddle JDXL game. You look at the Ocean, so I think actually, it's bad, but it doesn't lose us the game. We have a better chance by giving this over, getting to 4 items. That's our breakpoint. Okay, cool. You know that, you think it through in your head, and you get to play that out. I don't think we always see that extra level of thinking. Not that there isn't a lot of thinking to be done before that, because you have to get everything in order to get to that next level. But it's interesting to again get a bit of a deeper opinion on some of these players saying, actually, no, this was objectively the right call.
This is good to know from the players. Okay, I want to see the standings right now before we move on. JDXL still undefeated alone up there. And MNM Gaming, even though they defeated X7 in the previous week, they're now looking on the right side of the standings. Riddle is no longer first on the B group, on the group B. They lost that spot to MNM. I don't know how they come back from that one.
Alphabet diff.
Which means we are 1 game away from finishing the day. It is going to